Hi, I'm Here Comes 360. I've been playing Skyblock for 5 years, and I've watched the game evolve over time to become more complex than it had ever been before. I try to help new players where I can, but recently I've gotten tired of explaining the same thing over and over just to do it again the next day, because there are a lot of noobs. So I'm making this video. My goal today is to give a step-by-step guide to absolute beginners who know literally nothing about Skyblock to actually be able to play the game without getting lost every 5 seconds. I know that there are already starter guides, but to be honest, I don't like them very much. I don't think they explain that much about the game, and I think they treat the player like a robot to directly follow their instructions without giving them the option to be their own person or explaining how to be their own person. This video will be split into sections to try to organize the material, and we'll walk you through roughly the first 2 or so hours of progression. The first 2 sections will be basic explanation. The third and beyond will be recommendations of how to begin progression. This guide is Iron Man compatible, which means it will not require any form of trading with players or buying from other players' auction houses, so if you make an Iron Man profile, you can still follow this guide. Finally, this guide was recorded during the Skyblock Aura event, which is a one-time event. That's why this big cage in the middle of the hub and all these goons everywhere. It's also why I have a bunch of coins, but to be fair to my viewers who are following along with nothing, I make sure to get rid of them all slightly through the video. You don't need to worry about it if they aren't there anymore by the time you're watching this, because they're gone. So without further ado, welcome to the Skyblock Beginner's Guide. Section 1, Your Island and You. The first thing you see when creating your profile is a sky island that you're standing on, as well as a villager and a portal on an island across from you. The villager's name is Jerry, and he does nothing that you'll need to concern yourself with. What's actually worth noting is the little pink gray thing standing next to Jerry. After building across to the second island, you can right-click the little guy and see that he's called a cobblestone minion. Minions are Skyblock's way of grinding resources automatically without you having to be there. Every profile starts with 5 minion slots, but I'll get more on that later. For now though, rest easy knowing that you don't need to make a cobblestone generator, as the cobblestone minion makes it for you. However, if you do still want to make a cobblestone generator, you can go down this little cave to the left of the portal. You'll find water and lava down there. So that's your island, but this section is called Your Island and You. So now we get to talk about you. By now you may have noticed that there is another star in your 9th item slot. That's permanent, so get used to it. If you hold it in your hand and right-click it, it opens your Skyblock menu, where you can see everything pertaining to your character. Moving from left to right, we have the diamond sword, which represents your skills. If you click it, you open the skill menu. This is where you keep track of skill progress. You can forget about the skills on the second line, as they aren't important to you right now. Again, going from left to right, we have combat, which you get from XP from killing mobs. Next is farming, which you get from farming. Fishing from fishing, mining from mining. You can basically figure out what skill does by its name. You can return to the main Skyblock menu by clicking the arrow at the bottom of the menu, which brings you back to the last screen you were on, or hitting escape to close the menu and reopening it again by clicking the other star again. Either way works. Next we have collections, which is where you can keep track of how many of each type of resource you have gotten. The icon for collections is a painting. Collections are categorized by the skills each collection falls under. So for instance, potato falls under farming. So you would select farming collections to see potatoes. Right now when you click on a collection, all you'll see is gray dye, and that's normal. Collections will appear as you unlock them by collecting the resources out in the wild. Collections are very significant because many crafting recipes require collections to be allowed to craft. Speaking of recipes, next is the recipe book. And I'm going to be honest, I've never used the recipe book. Google is a much better friend to you than trying to sift through the confusing pages of the book. Next is your face, also known as your Skyblock profile. If you click it, it shows you a fancy menu that will be very confusing for you. So good news, you don't have to look at this. The only people who actually have to look at this menu are high-level players looking to optimize their stats, but you are far from having to do that. Back in order, the next one is this green and yellow ball that kind of looks like if you broke a bottle of enchanting into an ice cube tray. This is your Skyblock leveling menu. Basically in Skyblock, you get XP from completing certain tasks. As you get XP, you level up, giving you minor stat buffs and access to some other things that will be important. In this menu, there is an alleged guide to help you get Skyblock XP, but I would recommend ignoring it, as you don't really need it at this point. The next two you can ignore. They're the quest book and the event calendar, respectively. However, this game does not have that many quests, at least not many important ones, and the calendar is only for keeping track of events that you can't yet participate in anyway. The final menu on the right is a chest icon, where your personal storage lives. There are 2 lists in the storage menu, the ender chest and the backpack. Since you do not have backpacks yet, the only thing of value here is the ender chest, which is some easy extra storage. You can use this if you're in a pinch by clicking on the purple stained glass. The first menu on the second row is one you can also ignore for now, leaving us the bottom center one, the crafting table. This is a crafting table. You can open it at any time and craft, so you don't need to worry about carrying one with you. One more thing while we're here, you won't understand what this is, but as long as you follow this set of instructions, that's okay. Click on the redstone torch in the Skyblock menu and the redstone comparator of the top corner of the menu that appears. Click on every icon once so they're all enabled and that they have green dye there. That means that they're enabled. Basically, what this does is let more experienced players view what you have using third-party websites, which I'll link in the description. This will allow you to get more help in the future, as anyone can view where you are and your potential oversights. Well, that's all for you. Time to move on to the portal. Entering through the portal, you make it to the hub. Basically, Skyblock is a bit of a misnomer. It's a bit of an MMORPG, the same genre as RuneScape and World of Warcraft. It's only island themed. The islands don't actually play that much of a part of the game. The main island is called the Hub Island, and it's also the second biggest. If you walk straight forward from your spawn, you'll see a big map right in front of you. This map is okay at getting your bearings, and at the very least, it lets me show you all of the islands without having to walk across the hub 15 times to get to all of them. Over on the left, we have this one tree-covered island and these 5 tiny islands. Those are the foraging islands, which you will visit for foraging. This big spiky island and the island with a cool dragon skeleton on it are the combat islands, which you will visit for combat. The giant island with the way cooler dragon skeleton you should put out of your mind, as you will not have to visit it for a very long time, and even when you are able to visit it, you won't have much of a reason to go there. These 2 mountainous/volcanic islands that look kinda small and pathetic in comparison are the mining islands, which is where most of this tutorial will take place. This is because I believe that mining is the best way to start a fresh account, for reasons I'll explain later. These 2 islands at the bottom are the farming islands, where farming, you get the gist. Now, let me give you a little tour of the hub. If you happen to have wandered off during that explanation, you can run the command /hub to teleport back to the central square of the hub so you can follow along with me. This building immediately to your left is the auction house, where players buy and sell things to other players. You won't need this right away. To the left of it is this big building that looks like a big bag of gold. That's the bank. You may have noticed by now on the right side of your screen that you have a purse. If you die, which you will many times, you don't have to worry about losing items, but half of the coins in your purse disappear. However, if you put your coins in the bank, which I will show later, they stay safe from your untimely demises. While there are more buildings that have more minor uses around towards the right side of this area, they aren't really useful for you at this exact moment, so we will move on to the useful place, the area that I call Noob Street. I call it that because this is where you will be spending a lot of time on your new game profile. That is very useful things for you. Starting, like before, on the left, we have the library, where you can enchant. Now is a good time to mention that Skyblock has many custom enchantments. However, many of these enchantments require you to get a higher enchanting level to use. Pop quiz. Where do you see your enchanting level? If you said, open the Skyblock menu by right-clicking the nether star on my hotbar, then click the diamond sword to open my skill menu, then mouse over or click the enchanting category, you are correct. If you do not have a high enough enchanting level to use a certain enchantment, it can't be applied to your armor, weapons, and tools. And even if you do manage to get a piece of gear with an enchantment that you can't use that's already applied, it will appear gray on the list and its effects will not trigger until you become a high enough level for it. You can still use this equipment, it just won't use the enchantment. After the library comes the blacksmith, who reforges gear. What is reforging? If you've ever played Terraria, imagine the Goblin Tinkerer. If you haven't, basically, a reforge is an extra modifier that can be put on a piece of armor, a weapon, or a tool. When you talk to the blacksmith, you can put an item into the reforge slot, and assuming you have the proper payment, you can reforge it. There are many reforges that do many different things, and some are objectively better than others. I do not currently have time to explain every reforge, as I've already cut much of this video out to make it smaller and more approachable, so all you need to know is that for armor, Fierce is a good reforge. For a sword, Sharp, Spicy, or Legendary is a good reforge. For a bow, Rapid is a good reforge. For pickaxes, axes, and shovels, I honestly do not know, but the differences are not that significant for them. On the other side, we have the stalls of the Mine Merchant and the Weaponsmith. The Mine Merchant has 3 pickaxes for sale. I'll explain how to read stats yourself if I ever make a follow-up video to this one. In the meantime, I'll tell you that your friend is the Promising Pickaxe, which you will use up until you get the next pickaxe very shortly. Before we use it, we should get it enchanted at that's right, the library back there. He also sells you some other stuff that you don't need to worry about. Mining isn't the same as regular Minecraft, so you do not need torches. The Weaponsmith sells a few different swords and bows, but where we're going, the most useful one for now is going to be the Undead Sword, because most of your enemies will be zombies. Again, I'd recommend getting this at least a little enchanted at the library. Sharpness is still just a flat bonus, but one Skyblock perk is that it's not mutually exclusive with Bane of Arthropods and Smite, so you can get all three of them if you want to. At least get Smite and Sharpness, but you should probably get all three. Down these stairs are jacks, which you don't need to talk to until you get really into bows. Now, this is the NPC that will probably be your favorite, Rosetta. She sells starter swords and combat armor that you unlock to purchase as you get more combat levels. The first tier is regular iron armor enchanted with Growth 1, an enchantment that gives more max health. What you might notice is the massive red text that says you're not high enough level to use it. Well, like I said when explaining enchanting, if you manage to get a piece of armor that has an enchantment that you can't use, you can still use the armor. It's just that the enchantment won't give any effect until you unlock it, so you're in clear to wear this stuff. Finally, for the important hull locations that pertain to this video, is the coal mine. This is where you'll start your limited mining journey under my guidance. While there are still other important sections that I will get to if I ever make a follow-up video, they're just not worth delving into right now for the sake of the runtime and my editor's sanity. I am my editor. I'm currently writing this part of the script, and I'm already considering turning this into a series of half a dozen videos because I don't know if I can legitimately fit all this into one video that isn't multiple hours long. Part 3. The Mines. This is the first part of the actual gameplay guide, which means people who decided to skip the initial explanations will be joining us here. So to recap very abruptly, I suggest you acquire a promising pickaxe from the mine merchant and an undead sword from the weaponsmith. If you're having trouble getting the coins to pay for them, you can always sell cobblestone the minion on your island generates to NPCs by opening the NPC menu and clicking on the item you want to sell. By the way, to get to your island quickly, you can do the command /island or /is, which works too and is much faster. Once you get that stuff, you can optionally go enchanted at the library like I suggested, go on, and mine some coal. Once you reach mining level 1, which will show up in chat, you can enter this portal through to the gold mine. There are some merchants here that haven't been adjusted since 2019. They're practically pointless. You can walk right past them. You can also walk right past Rusty. He provides no value for you right now. Who we want to talk to is the lazy miner. Run through his dialogue and he'll give you a short quest to find his pickaxe. If you want to find it on your own, pause the video. My hint to you is down. For everyone else, follow me. I'll be sure to go slow so you don't lose me. Walk down the stairs, take a left, drop down, continue going down via the tunnel on the right, and the pickaxe is sitting right there. Go pick it up, and now it's yours to keep. You can throw out your other pickaxe because this one has the enchantment Smelting Touch. It's an enchant that automatically smelts ore when you mine it, so you no longer have to worry about furnaces and coal and all of that nonsense. By the way, higher tier ore is worth more mining XP, so figure out between coal, iron, and gold which three is the most valuable. If you guess gold, you're correct. Once you reach mining level 5, you can say goodbye to your very short-lived stay in the gold mine. If you get stuck at the bottom, you can do /hub to bring you back to the hub. One nice thing about warping is that if you're on an island that directly connects to the hub, doing the /hub warp brings you to the hub side of the portal with that island instead of the center of the hub island. So you can go right back in if you want to. But if you do want to go back to the center of the hub island, you can just do /hub again and zip there right away. As I was saying, goodbye gold mine, hello deep caverns. Deep caverns are several levels of caves, each with a different type of ore to mine and a different type of enemy guarding it. They're connected via large cavernous passageways, each floor having one going up and one going down, except for the top and bottom floor since there's nowhere left up or down to go. Duh. The first floor is coal, iron, and gold, with sneaky creepers being their protecting enemy. However, they barely ever spawn, and in 15 minutes of watching this mine to make sure that they did spawn, I didn't see a single one. They might have deleted them, I wouldn't know. You're almost always safe here. The second layer is lapis lazuli and lapis zombies, who have a 4% chance to drop one piece of their lapis armor set. This set is really good for mining, so if you have the time to spend 20 minutes killing lapis zombies, I would highly recommend you do so, as this will make the rest of the job a lot easier. However, to prove to you that there is two ways to play Skyblock, a right way and your own way, I will not be doing this, to show you that you can do whatever you want to without doing what someone else tells you to do. Also, if you happen to get an item from them called the EXP Share Core, set that aside and make sure not to lose it, as it's worth a lot of coins and you can sell it later. The next layer is the Pigmen Den, which is the redstone mine, guarded by pigmen. The pigmen can drop gold nuggets, redstone dust, or rarely they can drop their sword, called the Flaming Sword. While this isn't necessary, and it's not even worth going out of your way like it is with the lapis armor, if you happen to get it while mining redstone, you might as well use it. The fourth layer is the slime hill, where you get emeralds and the enemy is giant slimes. There's nothing notable about this layer. The fifth layer, which is the one I'm sure you've all been waiting for, is the diamond reserve. The enemies that spawn here are called miner zombies and skeletons, and they're pretty tough for you to fight, so avoid them if possible. They drop their armor just like lapis zombies, but their armor set is bad compared to the lapis set. If you happen to get something called bone dye, set that aside, as it is very valuable, and you can sell it later. The final layer is the obsidian reserve, where you can get obsidian and more diamonds. It's also guarded by even stronger variants of the miner zombies and miner skeletons, but the armor is still not worth getting. You will probably die at least once in this journey, so I'd recommend going to the bank and depositing your money before you die and lose half of it. To do this, go back to the hub and talk to the banker. The deposit button is on the left, the withdraw button is in the middle, and the transaction history is on the right. You can ignore that one for now. To deposit your coins, click the deposit button, and then it gives you the option to deposit half of your coins, all of your coins, or a custom amount. Just deposit all of them. Now your money is safe. One thing important to note is the lift master. There's one on every floor of the mine, and if you talk to him, you can fast travel to any other floor where you've already talked to him. In a moment, I'll show you the route to unlock every floor, and I'll also be showing you how to talk to that floor's lift master, so you can travel between the floors without trouble. Finally, it's absolutely paramount that you get 80 of each of these resources and that you do not lose them. That'll be important later. However, you want to make sure you get a full 2 stacks of redstone and 4 stacks of lapis. Once again, if you want to try to figure the way down yourself, pause here. There's no hint, it'll probably take you 5 to 20 minutes of random wandering, depending how good you are at wandering. Starting our journey by talking to the lift operator to unlock the gunpowder mines lift, then going back to the entrance and going the other way. A casual stroll following this cave leads you to the entrance to the lapis mine. No mobs spawn in this tunnel, so you can mine lapis here without threat. Entering the mine itself, you can cross this little drop to reach the lift. At this point, you go through this path to the left until you meet the lapis miner. While you can do the lapis miner quest, it's not very useful. Instead, we're focusing on the entrance to the pigman's lair, right next to the NPC. Redstone pigmen do spawn in the cave that leads between the lapis mine and the redstone mine, so you cannot safely mine here like lapis, but the pigmen are passive until you mine something, so you can just find a corner where there aren't any and mine away. Entering the lair, you can make a straight shot and the lift is on your left. To get to the next tier, you go up those stairs and go straight, with the entrance to the next level being beneath this platform and tucked in the corner. As with the lapis mine, you can mine emeralds here as mobs don't spawn. To reach the lift operator on this floor, you can just hug the right wall, but don't go up these stairs, go across the water, and the operator is right here. To make it to the diamond reserve, you go straight through those pillars and keep going completely straight. You might have some trouble with the slimes like I did. Worst case scenario, if you die, you can teleport back to the lift operator and try again. The diamond reserve and obsidian sanctuary are the only layers with ranged mobs, so this will be tricky. This will probably be the hardest layer to get through, so make sure you deposit your coins. Taking the left tunnel at the start, you come across another fork. This time you take the right tunnel. Where this tunnel lets out, you take a left and have a straight shot to the lift operator. Next, immediately come back where you were because the entry to the obsidian sanctuary is right here. To get to the final lift, you take the right here, skirt along the right edge of these lava pools, then go straight and you can see the lift. Keep going and you get there. Now that we've gathered the necessary mining materials, we can go back to the island and talk about minions. Remember at the start when you saw the cobblestone minion and I explained what collections were? The reason I told you to gather each of the core mining materials is so you can craft minions of each of the mining materials so that they can get collection progress for you. Let's go over the minion menu, starting with the vertical bar on the left. The top slot is where you can put minion skins. They do nothing and are purely cosmetic. The second slot is fuel, where you can put things like coal in here to make your minions faster, though I do not recommend that for now. The third slot is when you put a budget or enchanted hopper, both items you cannot yet get, and what they do is when the minion storage is full, they sell the excess material the minion gathers so it doesn't go to waste and you get a percentage of the coins. The bottom 2 slots are upgrade slots, where you can put any number of minion upgrades. There's only one that you should get as of this moment, though, the auto smelter. It requires cobblestone collection 3, which you get from having mined 250 cobblestone. The cobblestone you pick up from the cobblestone minion does count for this. You can check the recipe by opening the cobblestone collection, which as a reminder you can get by opening the Skyblock menu, collections, mining collections, then cobblestone. It is unlocked in collection level 3, so if you click that, it opens the menu of everything the collection level unlocks, and then if you click again on the item, you can see its recipe. As you can see, the recipe is 64 cobblestone and 1 piece of coal. You'll need 1 or 2 of these depending on what minions you pick. Moving on, the central area is the minion storage. This gets increased as the minion is upgraded. Speaking of upgrading, you can click on the button next to the minion's icon in the top middle to see what the crafting recipe for the next tier is. To pick up the minion to craft the next level, you can click the bedrock in the bottom right, but you shouldn't do that as the diamond in the bottom middle allows you to upgrade the menu without having to pick it up, so long as you have the required resources. The chest in the bottom middle is the pick up all button. Simple stuff. You start off with 5 minion slots. As you craft your new minions, you may notice a giant message in the chat saying something like, "You crafted a minion, that's a new one. You're now 3 minions away from getting the next slot." This is because you get more minions by crafting more minions. Now before you go back to the mines, grab a bunch of cobblestone and craft 50 tier 1 cobblestone minions. That won't work. You only get progress to the next slot by crafting unique tiers of minions. So if you craft a tier 2 cobblestone minion for the first time, that counts. But if you craft 5 tier 2 cobblestone minions, that doesn't. But if you craft a tier 2 redstone minion, that does again count. That's part of the reason why we got such a big spread of resources already, to craft more unique minions to unlock more slots. To craft a minion, you place 10 of the resource in every slot except the middle, and then a wooden tool in the middle. If you're having trouble getting enough wood, come to the hub, turn left, go between the bank and auction house, past the bazaar, and talk to the lumber merchant, who sells the wooden tools or the wood for a pretty good price. The exceptions to the 10 around the tool are redstone and lapis, with redstone requiring 16 in each slot and lapis requiring 32. This is why, earlier, when you were getting the resources, I told you to get more redstone and lapis. The tool you use depends on the type of minion you're crafting, and since all of these minions are mining related, the tool we use is the wooden pickaxe. I would recommend your starter minion rotation be a redstone minion, a diamond minion, an iron minion, this is the one you need the auto smelter for, a coal minion, a cobblestone minion, and a 6th minion of your choice, because when you craft all of these tier 1 minions, you will unlock the 6th minion slot. Now because of how low tier these minions are, they have almost no storage, so be sure to come back frequently to claim their stuff. After a couple collections, you'll be able to upgrade them. Keep upgrading them until tier 4, where they then require enchanted versions of their item. The only exception to this is Lapis, who needs the enchanted variant after the minion reaches tier 2. Quick explanation, the enchanted resources aren't put in an enchanting table. They're just compact versions. Enchanted items are crafted with 160 of the regular variant spread in 5 half stacks like so. This is a shapeless recipe, so it doesn't matter how the 5 half stacks are placed in the crafting table. The final explanation is how to actually place the minions. They require 2 empty blocks on all sides below themselves to mine and place their materials, just like how the cobblestone minion is placed here. So you should build 3 blocks out, place the minion, then destroy all 3 of those blocks. The minion can be floating or standing on something, it doesn't matter. They will now get to work. Part 5, Conclusion. Earlier in this video, I said that mining was the absolute best way to make a new account. I said that because of everything we have done so far. Mining this much is a very low risk way of getting some starting coins and getting comfortable with the game's mechanics. With the minions we set up, we'll get a lot of mining collections, which opens up a lot of new crafting recipes that can help you later. At this point, I'll leave you to develop on your own. If this video gets a meaningful number of interactions, I'll make a series of follow-up videos for how to start each other main skill. My goal is to provide stable groundwork that can be built up on in any way, and I think I did that. Thank you for watching. I would also like to take a moment while you're here to provide some resources to you, all of which will be linked in the description. As I mentioned before, there is a website that allows players to view your stats. If you want to view them yourself, the website, Skycrypt, is linked in the description. Next, I'm going to suggest you join the Skyblock Z Discord server. It's a very trustworthy server filled with many trustworthy members. Not only do they do giveaways, there are also people online who can help answer questions for players if they have. There are also some free services they provide. This is the only Discord server relating to Skyblock that you should join for the time being. You do not know how to tell if a Discord server is trustworthy yet. You can only know that this one is trustworthy because I told you so. There are not many other trustworthy servers. Finally, there is the fandom and official Skyblock wiki. They provide a lot of information, linked in the description.